Hello, good evening, ladies. This is the next project that I was doing, and one of my earlier videos I showed sort of a second-hand. I got this from second-hand shop, a photo frame. It's in sort of like brown wood, which I've sanded, and I put my sort of like, it's almost like a gesso that I make. Okay. I make up small amounts of this, so what I actually use with this is, you can actually use those sort of little house paint testers, but what's a good thing is I put like a teaspoonful of plaster of Paris. I also put in about a teaspoonful of sort of wood glue. Okay, it's a good one to get from a particular shop. And I also put in some white acrylic paint, okay, which can be bought cheaply, the white ones, to make this acrylic with, or just used up whole cans of paint sometimes, household paint, that sort of works as well too. So you always give it a good stir when you're doing it, because it breaks up the plaster of Paris. So I use that as a sort of undercoat on this. Okay. When I've done that, let's just put the lid on this now. When I've finished doing that, I cut out, what I use is this sort of lining paper which you can get by the roll in, you know, paper. I've had this for a while. I bought this second hand, and it's just a plain lining paper. It's always good to have a roll of this, because, you know, if you have children visit or anything else, it's good for drawing paper. Alright, and you know, you can get really quite heavy duty ones sometimes. Okay, so what I actually do with these is that I cut it up into sort of like sections here, and you know, that's why I chose something that was quite a wide surface on it. And I think you call it fussy cutting it, if I can find my scissors now. It's not like me to even get round. Right. So what I do from there is I start to sort of like get a design in my mind. It doesn't matter if it actually goes over the side or into the sort of section in here a short way, as you can see. Alright, and I've done some roses there. Okay, and as you see, what I do is I mean, you can draw it first. Sometimes it you know, it might be an idea just to see where you're going, but I tend to sort of just follow my eye, as it were. Doesn't have to be too. If there's any sort of sharp edges or anything like that, you can always go back and sort of just trim it a little bit if you're seeing this. And of course, when I undercoated this with the gesso mixture that I'd made, I dried it with my heat dryer, or my hair dryer, trusty hair dryer. And so you cut out, I mean, you can cut out all sorts of little things that you can, it's to do with sort of like raising a sort of pattern on the surface. And so I tend to just cut the leaves and there's too much paper here. Cut that off. One thing to do with this is to make lots of mess, so it's good to clear up as you go along. And I shall just do, it doesn't matter if they bend over, because you'll be sticking these down with a sort of watered down PVA glue. Okay, so another one here. I think you sort of get the gist of. So I've cut out several sort of like little shapes, and You don't have to be too precise when you're doing it. Okay. Nice sharp pair of scissors. These have all been sharpened, or the ones I've used here for paper have been sharpened up because I've been cutting up aluminium. There's that word again. Alright. You're sort of left with something like this. You can check it over and see that you can, you know, and then you find a place to fit it. It doesn't matter if it comes over the edge, because it sort of gives it a 3D effect almost. Okay. And the next thing I do is I've been making some roses here. Sometimes it can be difficult, so what I suggest is, it's almost like these Art Nouveau roses, is to actually draw a design on the paper before you cut it out. Okay, something like that. Okay. Obviously, if this is your first time making a rose, put another one there, I think. Sometimes it's just to keep, you know, rather than the joins to be stuck directly together, is to leave a little gap between it. Okay, it helps you to sort of see where you're going, is by gluing down as you go, because sometimes you can get lost with where the pieces of the rose actually sit. And I always keep some baby wipe now, cheap baby wipe, because they do tend to sort of like push things down quite nicely, so you know exactly where you're at. So sometimes that's good to keep that as a sort of reminder to see where you are in the pattern. Alright. So I shall put that on there, like so. Sorry, I'm filming, darling.
What?
I'm filming, darling. And so the next process here is to sorry, that was my husband there, so probably popping in to make me another cup of coffee, so bless his heart. Of course, if it does get sticky, it's always good to have some tweezers around to sort of like position it. Okay. Okay, just come back. Now you're checking as you go along. Alright, sometimes that's a helpful thing. So here we go again. And obviously that bit's going to go here. So sometimes you have to cut just a little bit off, just to sort of give it a little bit of, you know, space. Just a little trim. Okay. I'll put that there. It leaves a very interesting effect after doing this. So there we go. Don't be too worried. I mean, if it doesn't stick in the right place, you can always lift it up and try again, says she. Okay. I see we're coming down to checking where you are at in the pattern. So I'm going to cut it slightly smaller away from the edges. So it makes it smaller. So at least you've got a gap going on. So if it still doesn't fit, sort of give it another little trim. Just around the edges. Because you want sort of like little gaps in between it. It's like an art. Is it Art Nouveau rose? Which I adore. Right. So you've got, make sure you've got a good gap